Hi, I'm Edward Gauvin. I've been making a living translating from French to English for the last 18 years. In that time, I've made something of a specialty of comics, translating more than 450 graphic novels to date. I'd like to share one of them that came out in April this year. It's called Another Band's Treasure, a story of recycled instruments, written and drawn by Hua Lin Xie. Now, Hua Lin Xie studied art and animation in native China for 4 years before going on to the Émile Cohl School in Lyon, where I believe a version of this book, her debut, was her thesis project before going on to publication with Steinkis in 2021. Her book is based on the true story of La Orquesta de Instrumentos Reciclados de Cateura, the Recycled Orchestra of Cateura, which was founded in 2006 and has gone on to play concerts all over the world with such musicians as Stevie Wonder or the heavy metal bands Metallica and Megadeth. It's an orchestra of children from Asunción, Paraguay, who play musical instruments made from scrap materials collected from the Cateura landfill, which is named after a local lagoon. Former landfill recyclers worked as luthiers, delivering guitars made from recycled wood and even a violin made from an old pan and a fork and other stuff, which they dubbed the Stradivarius of Cateura. As founder, musician, and educator Favio Chávez is quoted saying in this book, "The world sends us its garbage, we give it back music." Some of you may be familiar with this inspiring story, which went on to fame in Louis Sazaran's 2015 documentary Landfill Harmonic, a 2016 children's book by author Susan Hood and illustrator Sally Comport entitled Ada's Violin, and a 2017 BBC Radio 4 documentary by Wire Davies. Now, the actual history of the orchestra is a bit complicated and all too human with conflict and accusations of embezzlement, but our book today sticks to the inspirational aspect in a retelling that is, as Kirkus Reviews notes, infused with optimism. The muted, sober artwork foregrounds the subtle environmental message, with small bursts of color appearing during a crucial scene. All in all, it's a story retold with evident admiration, a gentle reminder of music's might. In case you're wondering, I translated this book from French. So imagine a Chinese woman living in France writing a story about Paraguay. Now, the Franco-Belgian comic scene is fairly robust in its scouting and recruiting of international talent, while the big leagues of American comics like Marvel and DC are known for hiring talent from abroad as well. This is usually artists, so what you do get less of here than in France are foreign comics creators working outside established market genres and telling stories with a more indie feel. So without further ado, I'll read a selection of non-contiguous pages from Another Band's Treasure that will give a little more sense of the story. Now, the US version of Another Band's Treasure is published by the Minnesota-based Lerner Graphic Universe, whom I've had the pleasure of working with on several books for over the last decade. They're one of the few publishers I get to do exclusively children's comics for, and our first project together was Zaina Abreshad's memoir of growing up during the Beirut Civil War, A Game for Swallows. That debuted in English in Words Without Borders and went on to receive a Batchelder honor from the American Library Association, as did a later book from Lerner, Niedring's My Beijing. Other titles we've worked on include a comics adaptation of A Bag of Marbles, Joseph Joffo's memoir of a Holocaust childhood, a sort of an educational classic in France, and Abereshad's follow-up, I Remember Beirut, as well as Niedring's adventure series Aweto, and also the upcoming release The Bodyguard, another comic based on a true story, this one of how Edith Garud taught the British suffragettes jiu-jitsu for self-defense during riots and against the police. Now, a quick little interesting translation story about the title here of Another Band's Treasure. This is a pic cribbed from the author's Instagram. The title in French was Sous les déchets la musique, as you can see here. That's a reference to a slogan from the May '68 student protests, That's sort of passed into general idiom. The slogan being "Sous les pavés la plage." Literally, that means beneath the cobblestones, the beach, because that was physically true. Riding students would pry up the paving stones and find sand underneath the streets of Paris. But metaphorically, the saying means something more like dare to dream, since beneath the drudgery of the everyday, symbolized by streets or the defeated downward gaze, lies the promise of leisure. In other words, the good life is right there if we use our imaginations and know where to look. It's also, a labor movement thing, walk away from the boring 9 to 5 if they don't meet your demands. So the French title, Sous les déchets la musique, literally means beneath the refuse, the music, and déchet for refuse rhymes with pavé for cobblestones. Now, you can see how much verbiage it took me to unpack this semantically simple yet very culturally embedded source phrase, which is already one that really doesn't make it over into English for any number of reasons. So my editor and I tossed around ideas for the title. I was really sore that the documentary Landfill Harmonic had what I thought was far and away the best title already. We tried the Recycled Orchestra or Junkyard Symphonic. And then since my editor's from Minnesota, I brought up Paul Westerberg and the first verse of his song, Even Here We Are, from his classic album, 14 Songs. It was just in my head. The lyrics go, beautiful flowers in your garden, but the most beautiful by far, the one growing wild in the garbage dump. I really wanted to port that sentiment over. It seemed closer in spirit to the French, but the closest I had gotten was toying with the traditional saying, one man's trash is another man's treasure. I like the fact that it was a saying, but even as an adage, the gendered language didn't seem right for this book. It was my editor who suggested another band's treasure. And voila, probably marketing insisted on the subtitle. So here we go with a little selection from the book. Another Band's Treasure by Hua Lin Xie. In a Paraguayan village surrounded by a landfill, not far from the capital. How about we get up early and hit the dump tomorrow? Maybe we'll find something cool there. Sure. Why not? Hey, Daniel, look, a plane. Wow, that's so cool. Okay, time to go home. Shh, listen. Wow. Mom, we saw Mr. Diego playing the guitar today. It was wonderful, just like on TV. Diego? A guitar? I want him to teach me music. Music? What good is music? You can't eat music. Find some real work and help out your family. Understand? Music is for rich people. Mister, Mister? Oh, you came. So tell me, why do you want to learn music?